Okay.
Yeah. Or was it I? It was I.
A-I-E, yeah. But which version is supposed to be which? The bottom one?
The bottom one is the original, the other one is the...
That's in reverse order. Usually the bottom.
I will need to
The
denote
bottom
it,
is the surface form.
denote it with... This is...
The bottom is the surface form and the top is the underlying form. Which the underlying form gets slashes, the surface gets brackets.
Which one do you pronounce surface or underline?
You pronounce the surface.
Okay, then I will denote it by... What were the slashes for the...
Slashes for the top one and brackets for the other. So the pronunciation is with a glide, and the underline is with an I.
Thank you.
So you have it reversed.
Do I have the marking reversed or do I have the order reversed? Order I don't care. Oh, fine.
Oh.
Top one should be an I, and bottom one should be a J.
We'll see.
Although there is no word initial glottal stop because that changes to an L. So
Where?
yeah.
That's what I'm getting
Yeah.
to.
Okay. So
I'm trying. Oh, no, which was? This one isn't on here. So that's just.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so you've got them reversed.
I don't care about the order. The marking's gonna tell the person which one's which. So I screwed up on the whatchamacallit, but I don't care.
Oh,
I know that the order's wrong.
it's okay. We'll see that.
That's why I asked which one was marked which way.
Do you just have to outrun the halfling?
You read the front?
No.
Mm.
When
Okay.
you find yourself in the company of a halfling or no? Oh yes. And yeah, switch the brackets.
Camel being slimy?
Yes. That's how we do the couple.
So that's the slashes and that's the brackets.
Okay.
And then you are right. Then you want to change the Y. And the IA back around. That's a slash.
Yeah, I'm wondering why there's a bracket there.
Because you wrote it.
Yeah, that should be. That's what I thought. Alright, so.
Okay, so it's not being, it's copula.
Copula. I
And it's-
wasn't sure how to translate.
It's just a copula. Cop in capitals.
Period.
No need for a period.
Very fun now.
But, okay, so nouns.
Ebra kaya labri fi hik
Oh, I thought that wasn't supposed to be
which one?
at the skjef,
Yeah.
but the thing at the end was not supposed to be something. It was not
Oh, do you
supposed
think
to be
that
the
may
theta.
changes?
I think it was supposed to be the thing with the dot in the middle.
Well, so what? Is
That's
this-
how I remember it last week, at least.
Which one?
But did we use it? I don't think
Slimy
so.
or which one?
The
Study. Or what is
yeah.
that?
Study? I think I made that one up for this.
Okay.
Because we didn't have a study last week.
Then
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, I had it
Theta.
last week, but we didn't use it.
It's a theta then, yes? Not a
Yes,
click?
it's a theta.
Okay.
Shkief.
Okay. Is it trill? Or no, bilabial.
It's just
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, snakes would have
Skjef.
no difficulties.
Skjef.
You need vowel.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. So camel, slimy, what? Will study pool.
Yes.
Will, is that the same? Do we have that last
No,
time?
that's, I denoted that one as future. I put it up, I put up a set of 3.
Okay.
And I used one of them for, I'm using this one for the future.
Okay.
So the reason why I dropped the fee in was that we had agreed that IAN was top level. And so normally this would be somewhat ambiguous if you didn't have the fee, because theoretically it would be the camel is a slimy which will study the pool, sort of a special kind of slimy. Presumably it's an intelligent kind of slime.
Wait, what?
Well, if
It's not is it's the property.
Has the
It
property.
Has the property out there. There's different relations.
all right, the camel has the property of a kind of slime which will study the pool,
Okay.
where the slime technically would be studying the pool, because we put IA as top level. So I added a fee which overrides the.
So what does the fee mean?
It's just a marker that indicates this is the main verb.
Oh, I see.
It's just a proposal.
I see what you mean.
So I was going to bring this to table and we're going to discuss this in there.
So you wanted to
Large committee.
combine this, and then have this is the noun phrase. And this
Yes.
is the phrase. Okay.
Or the fee could maybe go with the IA and indicate that this is not the main verb, this is just the noun phrase. I mean, I wanted to use some sort of grammatical marker here to denote.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that working. I can see it being interpreted in a couple different ways.
Yeah, so it's the camel that's studying the pool,
Yes.
or
Yeah,
the
slimy
the
camel.
slime units?
No,
of the camel?
it's the
slimy
camel.
camel.
The
Okay.
slimy camel will study.
Okay,
the pool,
gotcha.
So
essentially.
it's two separate relations, really. It's camela copula to slimy, and it's camel and
Subject of, yes, yeah.
Can a camel who isn't slimy still study the pool?
Sure.
Okay.
If you removed copula, slimy, feet.
I'm just wondering if it would still make sense. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
According to our
Okay,
previous.
because I thought you had to have some sort of special slime to study the pool. But
Oh no, I was saying that if we did include the fee, and because we had sort of declared IA to be top level,
okay.
that's what you would have to sort of translate it.
Yeah, I
although
mean,
it would be.
if you just had camel will study pool, that would be grammatical, according to our previous.
Well, yeah, it would be grammatical. I'm just not sure
Okay.
how much
See,
sense it would make.
our syntax tree is still up.
Yay! Piece of chalk.
Yeah.
Hurry. Piece of chalk.
Yes, anyway. And there's no evidential on this?
I think we put it, it's in parentheses, so we don't need it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So S2 is this whole thing, and then that's a noun phrase, that's a verb phrase, and then that works okay. So I can see the fee as being the second part of the IEA, and
So it would be-
acts as a closed point to the IEA, almost.
Oh, that would be interesting. So you would associate it.
So the IEA would be like, here's an open paren, and then that goes until the end of the sentence. Unless it's a fee, in which case it's
Yeah.
closed paren here, then
And it also.
that's just sort of sidebar.
Um,
Proceed as you would have otherwise.
okay. I mean, like, if we have a sentence that just has an IA, or if you have a sentence that only has a copula in it and doesn't have like any other verb, is that considered like a sentence with like a noun phrase and a verb phrase, or is that just like one large noun phrase?
That's considered I think it's considered that the copula is acting as a verb,
Yeah, that's what I would think.
and so you've got NP copula NP, so that's effectively the same syntax as NP VP with the copula being a verb.
Mm-hmm.
question would be basically which of these two verbs takes precedence,
Okay.
right?
So I mean, like those are two very different not interpretations, but like meanings to assign to the fee. Is either it's you pair it with IAS to transform the IA into essentially a noun phrase, sort of a magic type of noun phrase,
Yeah.
or it goes with any old pair of verbs to indicate the main verb. Because like in theory, we could replace the copula with another verb.
Yeah, so what, can you think of an example where you'd have two verbs, just two verbs?
Well,
Or
maybe not verbs, but like a participle, or like smelling. We haven't even touched upon participles.
we don't necessarily need them, but let's see. I think it could be ambiguous, but in ours, because we're not distinguishing lexically between nouns and verbs,
What could be ambiguous?
which order the verbs apply, and how that would break down, so your fee would be necessary, or some mechanism.
Because I mean, like right now, if we want to say the slimy camel, we have to use an IM. Because we don't have adjectives.
Well, no, we do, remember or do we?
No, we don't. As far as
So
I
I got outvoted on that one.
I forget
On the-
if
on
we
the
voted
alternate,
or how
on
we
the
voted.
NPNP. Do you remember how that
I don't
worked
think I
out?
was there that day when you voted for adjectives.
One second.
Yesterday, or like previous meeting.
Yeah,
That was ambiguous what happened that day.
it was.
Yeah.
It often is with theory.
Yes.
Um,
Because we were dealing with it in the subtext of multiple,
well, yeah,
or
but
like what if you had a
it's the same
subordinate.
thing. Effectively, then the will study is going to force everything before it into an NP. If it's being treated as a verb, if it's not, then
I'm just thinking it's almost equally as valid to say that the slimy will study. Slime. I mean,
yeah, okay, but then you get the question: can a copula bind to that? So the camel has the property of a slimy,
A slimy is-
of slime that will study pool.
I admit in this case study pool is a little strange, but like we could have something more ambiguous that like
Whatever, pool
like
the game.
glow. So like
No, pool the game. It's no different.
well, I mean,
And
in
it's
terms of like the
slime.
slime. I mean, like the slime and the camel, like maybe like glow, like the verb glow. So like,
Okay.
does the slime glow or does the camel glow?
Yeah.
So are you saying so there would be two interpretations. Are you saying that the camel is like glowing slime, or the slimy camel is glowing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be the two if we didn't have like any sort of marker. And I think because we have this sort of case where IA is being used often, probably pretty often when we want to denote the properties of something, we probably need some way to regulate it. Because ambiguity is good, but not in every third sentence or every second sentence.
Okay. No, I like your idea.
So is it any verb or is it just with the IA? I mean, which do you think would be more maybe likely?
Well, in principle, you could break this for two ideas as well, right? So what if you had camel idea, slime idea, glow, right? All those could be verbs, adjective, or nouns.
Right.
And so there's the interpretation: the camel is like glowing slime. The camel is like
Slime glowing.
well, the camel is like. No, sorry. The camel is like glowy slime, so bright slime, perhaps.
Okay, slime or glowing with slime. Yes.
Yeah. So, or you could have
Camel slimy is glowing, or is glowing.
yeah. So the slimy camel No. The slimy camel is like brightness,
Yes.
something like that.
Mm.
If you have copulus
Right.
in between. How else can you interpret that? Yeah, so either
Or
of
you,
those
or
two
you could,
works.
I mean.
And you'd still need to be able to break which one is the dominant.
Right. If you want to say it's slimy and glowy, then we would just drop out the second IA, correct? And then we'd have a list.
Yeah, according to our previous idea.
Right, okay.
So let's take that as an easier example of this.
Okay.
So
People were complaining we had boring sentences.
no, this is an interesting sentence. It's just I don't think we have the power to parse it yet.
Okay.
So Ibrak aye labri aye
What job I had assigned?
glow.
Lagra.
Lagra.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lotto AKRA.
What was it?
Glottal AKRA.
What's the final form?
LAGRA.
So either okay.
Yeah.
So if we have two, then one of them has to be dominant, and it's either this is being defined by this, which is broken down internally, or vice versa, this, which is broken down internally, is being defined by that, or it has the property of.
Okay.
If we removed either of the IEs, then it would turn into a noun verb, right? Automatically.
The Ebrak would be noun and then.
And so Ibrak labri is, the camel is sliming.
Camel sliming. Or is, actually, yeah, is.
Or the camel is engaging in sliming in some undefined
Yeah.
tense and aspect.
Well, I think we said present, but okay.
Is it
Yeah.
present progressive by default?
I think progressive.
It's a reasonable default.
I mean, that's just the standard default in English and a lot of others.
Yeah, it's reasonable. It's not, or you could have it just be unmarked and ambiguous.
Well, I had asked, did we have like a present tense marker? And
Oh yeah, there was that.
Mm.
So okay, so let's say that's what it would mean. So the camel is sliming. Has the property of brightness. So
that's two verbs then, technically.
no, where's
Well,
of glow has the property of
Yeah.
glow. This would be interpreted as a noun phrase for copular use.
hold on. So labri would become a verb,
Yes.
and then
Ibrak labri is the verb.
And
And then, so that act, I suppose, has the property of glowing. Of glow. So
okay.
you could say that maybe it modifies the verb effectively.
No,
I'd actually thought of it a different way.
How?
I was thinking that you were going to group the whole Ibrak, Aye, Labri just as like one thing, right? And then be modifying that thing with the Aye.
No.
to, like,
If
turn
I
it
remove
into-
the IE.
go ahead
Wait,
and erase it.
if you remove the Aye.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Erase it, just erase
so
it.
version 1. So
I see.
so you've got four versions that are separate
Yes.
sentences. So I was talking about version 2.
Okay.
So Ibrak labri is a noun, is a sentence,
Yes.
a verb. So the camel is sliming, and this has the property of glow, of
Okay, yeah.
brightness, you could say.
The act or the sentence?
I would say that it's the act.
Probably.
The act described.
Yeah.
You'd have to have some sort of self-referentialness
Okay.
to say it's a sentence, like quotes equivalent. So let's see. If it were number 3, it would be the sliming camel is glowing.
Yes.
And if it's number 4, then it's a transitive verb, and it's the camel is sliming the glow.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that means.
It's actually, I mean,
The camel is sliming the glow. I could see that work. Like
I think
the
you beat
camel
Lewis
is
Carroll.
like the camel is spitting slime at a patch, at a glow.
light.
At either a light patch or you're using glow metonymically.
This is worse
For-
than Lewis Carroll's work. I do think.
Like the glow is either,
It's
well,
just
it's
putting
either,
out it's putting out a candle.
or
Yeah.
either the glow is like something that happens to be glowing and is
Yeah.
being used metonymically, or
Well,
it's
camels do
it's like I
spit.
cast magic missile at the darkness, to take a very geeky reference,
And
and
it's
something
glowing.
like that.
It's spitting at the glow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
camels do
it's
spit.
well, it's sliming it in
Sliming.
some way. I
That is a
Oh,
lot
I
more
mean,
descriptive
like
of camel
sliming-
spit.
You're not slamming at the glow, you're slamming glow.
well,
Sliming the
by
glow, right?
default, But
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, like
you're
it's
treating it
either-
as a noun.
Yeah, well, I mean, the difference is like either the glow is over there, or you're sliming glow.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, oh.
That's where magic missile would come.
Oh.
We need more.
I have
we
no
need more
idea.
mar- we need more colors.
So you are sliming glow. So like you are producing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd work that out. I'm sure Lakoff would have. Well, no, he probably would just be really weirded out by this conversation. But I'm pretty sure it's some sort of metaphoric, metonymic, or how do you slime glow? I suppose it would. Now, I guess that's just a question of what you consider the transitivity of the verb to be. Is it? Is the default patient the thing that is being slimed, or is the thing that is being slimed with? Is the default?
Or at.
Is the default object the patient or the instrument?
Okay.
Basically, yeah. I think that's a lexical question.
Yeah.
Or you could have it be ambiguous again.
Never.
So all of those mean something. And the only
But
the
this-
top
I
one
mean-
is ambiguous, I think. Syntactic. Right.
Oh, I see. I was gonna ask like, because
I
the
like-
difference between 2 and 3
Yeah.
is like we have in 2 we have act sentence aya, and in 3 we just have the regular like adjectival form of aya, and
What?
2 is like the camel sliming is glowy,
Yeah.
and 3
So
is
I think
the slimy
If
camel
you force
glows.
a sentence into being a noun phrase, we've decided it's the act. It refers to the act described.
Yeah, well
in
then
the
we could have,
sentence.
um,
And ergo the verb.
I mean, in that case, 3 could be, labri lagra could be just another sentence, like the slime glowing. I mean, it's just sort of like
Yeah.
where you prioritize. Like 3 could be in that case, like either
So-
the slimy camel glows, or
Wait.
the camel has the property of slime. as well.
Ooh.
Could you say that camel
Yeah,
slime
you're right.
glows?
Well, then we would need a possessiveness in
No, you're
general.
right. I can see that.
I mean, in
So-
2 we don't have quite that issue because
No, you should.
I mean, I was seeing an asymmetry there. I was
You
trying to
should
figure out
still
why.
have that. So in 2 you can still have ibrak labri, which is the camel that is sliming, has the property of glow.
Yes.
So the act of the camel sliming,
Yes.
that is, has the property of
It's just
glow.
the reason why I think that doesn't work quite for 2 is that labri aya lagra cannot be a verb.
No, but it wouldn't matter.
I mean,
Oh!
you couldn't act that.
I see. Can you?
No, because once we use copular form with labri,
But in the previous
that assigns nounness to the labri.
Huh. So
I think we need 2A and 2B.
A, B, I, C forces A, I, B, C is ambiguous.
Because B
Yeah,
has
you're
to
right.
be noun-like.
That is interesting.
But in 3,
So you'd have to have a noun-like No, a verb-like way of interpreting the aye phrase.
Yes, for it to be ambiguous. But
So can you do that?
but we
Labria y lagra is the slime that has the property of glow.
well, I guess
So
you could say the sliming.
The bright, the glowy, the bright slime.
Sliming, like the act of sliming is glowy, has the property of glowy. I mean, that would assign a verbiness to labri. I mean, like if you said like the camel
Camel is doing something, and what is the something?
and the something is glowy, has the property of glowy, the act. But I mean, it like how. Pause. Everything clears.
Does it?
Yeah. The difference. What you could have there is either ebrat labri, Adjial lagra, in which case like this particular act of the camel sliming is glowy, or you could say
Yeah, so
the
it's a
camel.
bright sliming.
Yeah.
The camel is sliming brightly, something like that.
Yeah, that like where essentially the whole act is glowy.
Yeah.
Right. Or you could go and you could localize the ayat to just the labri and say that the camel is doing a sliming, but it's a glowing type of sliming.
What's the difference?
The latter essentially says that they're sort of like saying that there is a glowing kind of sliming, that there is just this general category or a verb.
So it is doing a particular thing, which is a glowing slime.
Sort of intent,
Sliming as opposed to it's sliming and it's just doing it in a glowing manner.
yeah, in this case. It's technically different.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I think it's a reasonable ambiguity to leave, and I think
To some extent.
I think your example though of putting fee before the thing that you want to have dominance.
Mhm.
So you can still put the fee before the IN because we're treating that almost as a verb. Is a reasonable solution. And this is a more complicated case, but I think it works perfectly well with
So
the
we have
quote unquote simple case of these four, which are all ambiguous.
I think
They all have that problem, like we just demonstrated.
what if
Actually, how do you interpret the fourth one ambiguously? So, oh wait, no, yeah, that's even worse. The fourth one is ambiguous in that
There's
Ebrak
no-
labri lagra. So that could be Ebrak is labriing the lagra as a transitive verb, or it could be interpreted as a noun phrase. Either one of them could be interpreted as a noun phrase, just like above. And that thing is...
we don't have noun phrases just from two guys next to each other.
We do if they're being forced.
No, not even. We didn't have even with force.
If you're interpreting Ebrak labri.
Yeah, but that's because it's wait, two?
Yeah, number two, Ebrak labri
But I think that because
has
it's-
some properties.
Oh, but we
Oh.
still have the IS still, because the IS can assign stuff.
Yeah, I
The
thought
noun
the IS
phrase
was supposed
can't
to.
verb,
Right.
as far as I know. Or it doesn't feel like the noun phrase would be able to.
Is a verb capable of... Is an act capable of verbing?
Yes, essentially.
According to Yuri, I think it was.
If an act is capable of verbing, then it will work for four.
Yes. That's
Because that's how you would force...
well, technically you can. I mean, you can say the witness showing the something, showing us the tape was shown,
So
was very telling.
So what if you interpreted number four
I guess
as...
that's the copulary.
So if they're naked, then you can either interpret this as this, so A does B to C,
Yes. Through like
or whatever, it's transitive.
yeah.
Or you can interpret this as
One pair.
this, which is being forced into...
Well, it's not being forced. We're choosing. We're pairing them
Well,
Right.
and having
depending
that.
on how you interpret it.
Yeah. No. I
So
mean,
this thing,
we
which
could
is...
interpret it as a pair that is verbing C.
Yeah, well, no, which is...
Yeah.
Seeing. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yes.
So, if this thing is seeing, then it's the act, right? Because according to number two.
Yes.
So the act of the camel sliming
Mm-hmm.
is glowing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense? Is that
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
maybe not
it's
in
sort
this,
of a silly
maybe not in
example,
this
but
case,
it's
but I mean, like,
possible.
it's possible. I think.
So can you conceive of an act that does something? Actually, I think I can.
You know, I was
Reveals.
just thinking of something.
Yeah.
What I said earlier about camel slime glowing, the act of something doing something would automatically mean that it's that thing's thing. It's the camel would be producing the slime, so you could have a way of making your possessive form
Wait,
if you
what?
had two verbs after
Oh,
that. Basically,
that would
so
be
you'd,
interesting.
you'd be saying
Huh?
that that's
how
camel
do you denote
slime
possession?
is
I
glowing.
don't get it at all.
Like
You
that
get
you
it?
could denote possession by explicitly saying that the camel created the object and therefore it belongs to the camel.
Oh.
But that's very specific.
Uh,
Most people don't write the books that they own and stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
no. If you're reading the
let's-
book, you could probably say that it's
Well,
You
no,
know,
yeah, then
my book I'm
That's
reading, basically.
weird.
But
we just need to add more grammar. Or could you clump
But
B
I
and
think
C?
you can do an act. Like, for example, the act of America invading Iraq
Well, yeah.
showed the world that we are arrogant.
it's shocking.
No, that's copular. Is shock? No, that was the thing. Is shock is copular, but like
Showed,
reveals,
showed,
shows,
whatever. That's a verb. The act is doing something.
screams murder.
So you're treating the act in a personifying
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
So how do we personify the act of the camel sliming? So the camel sliming is an act. So the act of the camel sliming glowed.
Disgust.
And I think that works,
Yes.
Yeah.
honestly.
No,
It's
but-
very poetic.
What is the difference between saying?
Sorry, poetic. But it's possible. And then A, B, C like this.
Could you do that?
So
A would has to still be the subject.
A would be a subject, so the camel did something. And this something was the
That's-
act.
You don't do it.
What
An
is the
act, you
difference
just
between?
do it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I don't think these like.
So how
BC
would you
clump.
turn it into a verb?
No, well the thing is like, you would have auxiliaries to go with the main verb only with like a yeah to indicate like
No,
how you did something.
Let's see, slime. Slime glowed. Slime is glowing.
That would
Can you turn that into a verb?
slime is going as its own. It's a sentence.
Was
I
there
mean,
some
like-
way that we were turning something into a verb in the previous examples?
Glowy sliming was sliming glowily would require an IA, is the thing.
Yeah, I think you said something like glowy sliming. You'd have to make it an adverb deal.
Yeah, I'm confused already.
About the fourth
I
one.
don't know if this one's
I don't think that one's fun.
But this one is.
Yes.
As opposed to A's, B, and C.
Yeah.
There's another ambiguity.
This is what we get for having interchangeable.
I think it's an interesting idea. You just need a larger. There's a different system for dealing
Yeah.
with it.
No, I think it's cool, but it does make for odd ambiguities.
I mean, I think what we might need is, I mean, what helps in this case is that like the heek and the yeah and like these little auxiliary words, what they do is they assign.
Yeah,
They assign roles.
They have forced those into a category.
Yeah, essentially. And so.
Or is there any way we can interpret hikshkif in a way that doesn't make it a verb, that makes it a noun?
Will doesn't
I don't
well the thing is what allows us to squeak by with with ambiguity is that like camel and slime hole, especially slimy, that has a very broad meaning. But heek is just grammatical.
Yeah, you could say that they're not. There's one grammatical category which is normal words, which are nouns or verbs or adjectives.
Exactly,
or
and then-
whatever,
and then we
whatever
have
the
the-
hell they're being used
Yeah,
as.
and the
There's-
auxiliary is a sign. So.
Yeah. So is for example, aye, is that a verb or is it being treated special?
I think it's special.
Why?
Because it is.
And then
You
heek,
can't
is that
accept-
even more special?
Yeah.
Heek or feed or things like that, those are even more special.
Drier, yes. I would say like I can do verb. Well, it doesn't really do verb-like things. Essentially assigning the role to stuff that follows. That like this is describing whatever I'm talking about. It assigns sort of an adjectival or adverbial or add something role.
Well, yeah, sort of.
Because we're not using like is.
Yeah.
Because we don't use if for like the camel is slimy. I mean like I
Is
think
what? Is slimy?
yeah, we'll say the camel has the property of slimy.
Yeah.
But
Of slime.
of slime. But it isn't quite, I would almost say it's not the same declarative sense as like the camel is slimy. Like you kept stopping me from doing that, and I think actually that's a very valid point. That if we wanted a verb like copula, then that would be something different. And Aya is just assigning, it's less of a
Okay.
copula and it's more like this assigns the role of something else.
So you would interpret Aya as, so you would interpret Aya and heap and similar things as
Role assignment.
as role assignment. So heap forces the immediately next
Object.
to be
a
to be a verb.
A future verb specifically.
Well, yeah, but it forces it into a verb
Yes.
interpretation. And Aya forces the entire
Well-
following phrase at the boundedness of said phrase being ambiguous. But it forces the following phrase into an adjectival
Yeah. Essentially
form
a
of
descriptive
some
role.
sort.
I mean, like, I think that's
Or
actually,
adjectival or adverbial, but what the hell's the generic word? Adverb, adjective, adposition?
Probably.
I'm not sure.
No, that's something different. I forget. But
It's
it's
like,
one
what
of
I
them.
would say is that, like, we've essentially,
And it
Aya-
forces the previous into a noun-ish.
yeah, essentially. Because, I mean, like, what we have to sort of realize is that sliming is, like, our verb sliming, also has this whole other backstory that we can use it as a noun. Aya does not have that ability. It's very, if it's a verb.
Oh yeah, if it's a real word, then it must be interpretable.
Essentially. And so
In other
since it doesn't
ways.
have those capabilities, there's no reason why we should
Is
treat it
there-
as
Any way you could interpret Aya as a noun?
existence. But
I don't
no,
think
it's-
so. It's not even. It's
No,
not an
that's
existence.
not
Well,
anything to do with
right.
existence.
But I mean, a copula would be almost existence, but
No, you could have
Something
a
that doesn't
copula.
exist could still have an IA.
No, you can express existence through a copula, but that's not.
no,
this
not
one.
existence as to exist, but like exists, like the existence of
Like
cars.
the not.
It's
Denial. This. Oh, well, yeah, but no, that's different.
yeah.
There's
So
a
I
different copula. It could be expressed that way, but yeah, I think you're right. It's not really easy to force it into any of those other.
right. So I would make
So
that an
it
auxiliary.
is special. Okay.
So,
So
I
that
because-
brings that. But
Essen-
I think this ambiguity still holds.
Yeah, what I'm just like drawing, what I'm sort of, something else I'm trying to bring up is that, I mean, this language has chosen, somehow it has will, we have chosen to make, like, the interesting goal of, like, grouping nouns, adjectives, and verbs together into just this general thing, and that depending on context, they assign different roles. And
Yeah.
essentially, that means that we don't exactly use subject-object-verb or subject-verb-object. It doesn't quite apply anymore.
Well, yeah.
Because we don't have subjects, verbs, and objects. We have something else that.
Well, we do.
We can.
Once you know which one is being interpreted
Exactly.
as which.
Exactly. So I mean, like, saying like, here we have object, verb, or like thing, verb, thing, doesn't really work anymore. Instead, sort of having.
Well, it does in number 4, but
I think that's.
it's ambiguous because you don't know for certain that that's
Exactly.
being treated as.
So I mean,
verb.
like, probably what.
Could you have a verb with nothing in front of it?
I still have questions about number 4.
What?
What's that? Well, what I'm trying to say is like probably what feels closest to like this language's style is as opposed to like sort of like abstractly like deciding, okay, here's the verb, and from there figuring the rest out, is that literally
Yeah.
you would have things, which are subject, verbs, and objects, and then you have a structure that you build up in between the things that clarify it at that point. I mean,
If you want.
essentially, yeah.
So I
mean,
think your idea for fee is a good one.
yeah.
And then fee would clarify boundedness.
If we go with the copula.
So fee, well, either way.
I mean, actually, I think we do have to because aya is no longer.
Fee would basically say
A verb, per se.
whichever thing you are, you're stopping here. And if you're going forward or if you're going
I also
back.
have.
Right.
Well, I don't know if I want to bring that in then, because if you drop, the interesting thing is if you drop a consonant in between the click and
So-
the I, you get click-3, or like I had click-3.
But like what if you had a fee here before the l'abri? Then this one had two ambiguous things, right? It had this whole thing, right? IEC. And it had this was doing this whole thing. And I think feeing here would force it to be this is doing B IEC. And putting it here would force it to be this thing that is being, or the act of this thing being has the property of C. Either way,
That is true.
It would break the bound in this property.
I don't know if we want to
I think
do
that's
something
fine.
as general as phi though.
Why? I like it. Do you see any things where that would have a problem?
I'm thinking that if you started getting complex sentences again,
Then
then
you
it would
might
be
too many.
Yeah, essentially it's like closed parentheses at that point.
Yeah,
it
basically.
becomes unclear a little which phi goes with what. And essentially what you'd be doing is like you'd go like something something phi something phi.
You could have the fee take on the property of the thing that's binding.
I would say more like
Or you could
phi-
have
we could
levels.
maybe just like have phi with IA and maybe just a couple more.
So fee.
Like we have essentially heek in a way is sort of an open thread. It's like it's now assigning the following.
See,
No, I
I
think
don't
he-
see why phi can serve as any number of parentheses when you say like you have IE, la brie, IE, la gra, and then you just
But
put a
it-
phi after that and it would go.
Yeah, but then it gets complicated. You could have it being with a yit, in which case you'd still need to resolve number 2 because that would still be ambiguous in the forward case. So you'd have to be able to have the fee on both sides of the yit to break it. So how greedy-
parenthetical.
Yeah. So how greedy is the yit in number 2? Does it take only B or does it take A? And you need to have a way to distinguish.
I would say in that case, B or no, I
Do you see what I mean on that?
yes, and I would say that from the sentences that we've worked with so far, and this could be wrong, but I tends to most easily works if it only takes the previous one word. What I think we could do is introduce some sort of more. I think if you looked at all the examples where we've used almost exclusively, there tends to until we start getting contrived. It's been
Okay. So
I would just say that maybe we could have some sort of specific indicator, like now pay careful attention because this whole thing is actually a phrase that's going to be modified.
So you have an IA takes only one as a head,
Yes.
unless otherwise.
Yeah, and then because normally it's like, okay, I'm going to tell you something, and this is a sentence. Yeah, and they're like, oh wait, that's an act, not a sentence.
Oh, okay.
And so you have a marker
So
that
you
would
have a
indicate.
fee that ends the IA, and you'd have some other
Correct.
thing, like a P or whatever,
Yeah, actually, yeah. So
Um,
that would be the complement.
that begins an IA if it's not just one.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I like that. I kind of like having the ambiguity at least be
No, well, I think-
available.
No, we're going to have ambiguity. Don't worry. There is plenty.
I like this kind of ambiguity.
Yeah.
I like the fact that like number 4 has 3 different interpretations.
And that's not going to change. There's no IA there. So we can't clean that. Or
No,
right now
sure.
we haven't cleaned that up.
Fee works. Oh, because it's not.
There's no
verbalized. Yeah, there's no IA.
So 4 you
So,
keep.
Fee, and what's a good other one?
I would say something equally short.
Yeah.
And I like the sound of fee. So this is a chart, but it's got holes. I've got a better one.
Oh, whatever.
Here, this one's got a good font. I just started working on the other.
So fee and
Come. No, you come over here.
Me come over
Yes.
there?
physically,
Oh wow.
you are a person.
Key. Fee.
No.
No, I don't want to. Oh, pa. Oh, thank God.
Yeah. What did you think it was?
Fur.
No, that's not the foot.
Except that's fur. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
wait a second, they're the same.
Brie.
No.
Ri. Ri, I think is fine. An R.
Ri sounds good.
So,
not at the moment.
let's say it's that. So
Ri, yeah, Ri sounds good.
Yeah, it is.
so Ri.
Ri now. Right back down.
So trilled R is
Oh, that's ironic.
Well,
Because phi is the bilabial click normally, and one of them was bilabial ri, and so now we have ri. That's cool. That has just don't listen to me.
No, I think I see what you mean. So the IA will take, so the form of the IA is A, IN, B, C, D, dot, 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 until period, or phi.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And so either or A dot dot dot, so A Z X Z Y X dot 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 3. So one of the above.
One.
Well, one
Four.
forms 2.
Yeah, 4.
So let's see. How does it clarify this? So in this case, the idea is being forced to only go with the first one. So that means this is being grouped here, this is being grouped here, at least. And then this has to end here, right?
Yeah.
And then this has to end either here or here. No, but this ends here because it's not being
Yeah, that's true.
so that's a perfect.
Technically, I think you could argue that we treat this whole thing phrase, and that's legitimate since that's one atom.
Yeah,
That would just fit this model.
that is true.
But I think we decide by precedence first takes the strongest.
Maybe.
That was our old ruling.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, that's right. So these aren't necessarily words, they're constituents.
yes.
And that complicates things.
Tiny bit, but
So we still have the same exact.
well, in the first one,
the number 1 at least.
because we have the two IS. That's just
So-
a question of
Yeah, so
priority.
let's just pause that one. So in this one, this idea would have to take. So this idea would have to take this and only this,
Yes.
unless there was unless there's a
Ari.
So this idea is C, right? And then A is, so either this is interpreted as a verb,
Yeah, that would be
or
possible. That's
is
possible.
there any other way? This A is
A,
doing this.
A clump.
Yeah,
A
A
clump.
is doing that.
A clump is just a present progressive.
Yes, correct. So is there another interpretation? No.
Our grammar doesn't allow for it.
Yeah. So is there a way to have it be? Oh no, there is. Because this still could be interpreted as one chunk, which is
An atom again.
the same exact thing. So we haven't resolved this ambiguity,
Yeah, then
but we're
that's-
not using phi.
No, you
Yeah.
could, I think.
Or no, we don't. Your original use of phi was a different one.
Yeah.
Well, it was intended as a different one.
That's fine. I'm okay with switching around.
But
I mean,
so in
as
this
you
case,
mentioned-
you'd have this, because the phi ends it. Right.
One second. Sorry. Nechytil jsem vlak, tak já budu na tom druhém, tak tam budu být těch 50.
Have you ever actually heard Czech? No, I have once when I was in Prague.
Okay.
And I didn't understand any of it, except for the written stuff, some of which has
Oh.
some weird false cognates to Russian. I tell you.
Tak, vypadá je dobré.
It's weird when you look at the traffic signs and you try to interpret them in Russian and you think they're cursing at you.
No way.
I assumed it's not what it meant, but nevertheless, I didn't know what it meant.
Oh
It
gosh,
was
so
funny.
what did the stop sign mean?
I don't remember what traffic sign it was, but it just meant something very different to the close version of Russian.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have this,
Yeah.
and then this forces
Vehicle doesn't say
that. Did that goes?
yes.
Um,
No. What
so
did
this
you
is,
add?
This is perfectly unambiguous.
You'd have to take the fee out.
No.
Oh, well,
It ends-
technically,
It ends the couplet. So the slimy camel will say.
what happens if we took the fee out? Then we would have,
Then-
we'd have the ambiguity whether the cat, whether
No,
this,
then the copula is greedy, and since it's not terminated, the copula is necessarily taking all of this.
sulfurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough. Well,
As an adjective.
oh, yes, well, it clumps it into one huge adjective.
Yeah. If there's no fee, then whatever this is being determined as an adjective.
Yes.
So the camel has the property of slime that is studying pool. That would study pool.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes. Technically, I mean.
Or
pool is a
of-
pool liquid.
Oh, no, maybe not slime that, because then it's has the property of slime and noun heading it again.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
if we take out the fee.
Has the property of the act of slime studying pool. It's almost like a participle,
Yeah.
maybe? I don't know.
You could say like it's very studious.
Yeah, I don't know how to interpret it, honestly. I'm getting a little bit overloaded.
Yeah. So do you think the fee
Yeah,
helps?
that actually
It's-
happens. Yeah,
I think it
I think
does,
it
though
might.
it's strangely not solving all our problems.
It's not actually solving the problem we wanted it to solve.
But I
It's
think
an
it's-
interesting concept, nonetheless.
Okay.
So we still need a way for one, so there's this, but there should be a general class of things that force verbs,
Yes.
force verbing. That would solve this, potentially, because you could say, this is, be is being forced into a verb,
Or it depends
or
if you're reading.
this is being forced into a verb.
Yeah. But again,
But,
that's sort of assuming left to right English or like reading order
Yeah.
takes precedence, which is something which we haven't exactly.
No, I think we assumed left to right. Oh,
Yeah.
It's being read
Left to right, but I mean,
not
like-
precedence, yeah. Okay, so we still have that ambiguity, but that's okay. I think it's cool. Bye-bye. There's plenty of illiterate people in America.
No, like
George
no
Bush.
exposure. Like
I imagine if you went far enough into the Appalachians, you'd find someone. But
Oh, and that's not stereotypical at all. If you what?
if you went off into the corner of the world where they hadn't invented right, or they weren't using right.
Appalachia is not a corner of the world, damn.
I was
It's a mountain
adjusting.
range.
I was adjusting her statement.
Yes, yes. For even less political correctness.
Because we have corners.
What?
The world has corners. Because it's flat.
Oh, corners. Corners.
What do you-
No, let's just forget what I thought you said.
In Spanish, we say that places are far away from everything else are the edge of the world.
The
Yes.
El culo del mundo.
Okay. Well, I'm sure if you go to UCL, Eddie, it's a large city. I'm sure you can find whatever sort of people you want.
I'm going to LA in 2 weeks, actually.
Well, there you go. Perfect population sample. There's got to be plenty of illiterates in there. There just has to be, given the high percentages
Or
of
maybe we'll go to
various
Texas.
populations. I'm sure Texans are literate. They're just different. I'm not messing with Texas. Please don't try to come and kill me. Just saying y'alls are different. That's all.
Very different.
You might have noticed. Okay, so yeah, talk to Hinton about it. Maybe she can tell you an answer.
Okay.
Or if
Hinton?
right,
Yes.
it is good. I don't know. Maybe there's been research papers done on this. Maybe it's like a known issue. I don't. Anyway, yes. So on Friday we'll just like string random stuff together and figure out how to parse if it parses into words at all. And just like make up what it means.
All right.
Because that's what it sounds like, right? Because that's the easiest way to make something. Well, it sounds like this. Trust me, it's traditional. Yeah, so that's it. Bye-bye.
What?
Of the agent and the patient. So that would fit this, yes? So all of this is patient, and you can break this down into effectively syntax, almost within the morphology. One. Yeah, actually this feels to me more like it's a separate word. Like this is a noun phrase. This should be just a separate.
I was thinking about how I could do it to make it one word.
Because you want to do it in glottal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe that's okay.
That's my problem with agglutinative languages. I never know why they are different words.
And I'm not really a specialist in them, so I can't really tell you. I would suggest you ask people who know more than I do. In other words, Conlang.
Yeah.
But that's okay. So the other thing is, definite.
But you don't have some American Indian languages.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some American Indian languages don't have a word for hit, for example, but have words for hit with your hand or hit with a stick.
Makes sense.
And those are one word. So what I was trying to do is
it's a one word with different meaning.
yeah. But they are done with morpheme. There's kind of a morpheme for hit, but it has to be together with the thing we hit with.
Okay.
So my intention was to do that. The verb find, for example, can go on its own. You need
No,
to
that
say-
part looks totally fine to me. That part is just the one that makes me think that it's more syntactical because you've got one language and dialect had. And that part feels to me like syntax. But
what
maybe it's fine.
What if they found a plain and a mountain?
You can, yeah, I mean, you can
Mountain.
obviously do it. It's the point at which it gets recursive is where it starts feeling more syntactical to me. So plain and mountain you can presumably do, right? You might break it off if it gets recursive. You might just have it like you have and have it be within the word, and that's okay. I just don't know how your morphology is going to look, is all. So I can't answer that, but it's okay. Don't stress that it's like illegal or something. The agglutination police are not going to come and get you. And if they do, please tell me that. We have groups on campus for that sort of thing. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about for this one?
Actually, the whole sentence was
Yeah. And we're gonna need to finish up fairly fast. Kent.
so
Okay.
that was, but this was doesn't mean that was only refers to location.
Okay. Okay, I don't think we really have the time to analyze that one today. One just writing things down note. When you're doing interlinears, if there's proper names, you can just abbreviate them. It's easier. So S dot. Yeah, so I'm not going to touch that now because it's complicated. But we can go into that next time if you want. Let's see. Would you be willing, one of them, say phrase or 3 from on Friday? Or some other one of your choice, just not number 1.
Is it okay if I post number 1 online and then not do it like in front of people? And then
Okay.
number 2, so I have an idea on how to do it?
Okay. It's intended to be for your benefit so you can work it out. But if you don't want to do it on camera and all that, I can understand. I realize that not everyone is quite as shameless as me. Yes, so good night, everybody. It's a good way of communicating with people. With, like, let's say you're holding hands with your partner and you're walking through sort of a tense social situation, and you don't want to actually overtly sign or say anything to them about, like, Jesus is bad. Do.
No, it's not renowned at all.
It is a central U sound.
When on a syllable boundary, constant something constant. Oh, so it's okay. So a constant followed by
Oh, it's actually sorry. This shouldn't be.
We've got a little problem here.
There.